You're all very welcome, and on behalf of the Council members throughout the United States and Ireland, North and South, we very much appreciate your support and for coming along here.
First of all, I want to thank the Council for the invitation to address the Council members here this evening in this magnificent setting of Dublin Castle. For over 50 years, this Council, of which I've been involved with for some years, has been to contribute to the process of shaping the economic and business connections between America and Ireland. We became fairly successful in Canada, joined another organization, sold that off, or made a little more money in that area, and I moved to New York City, which was my favorite city, because I used to play hurling for Dublin, and back in 1961, by the way, that was a long time ago, and a little bit of Gaelic football. So in New York was superb in those years. They would fly you down and we'd play, in Gaelic Park and have a wonderful time. And so I got to know New York City very well, so I decided to move to New York City. And I was fortunate enough in joining several organizations that we became fairly successful at. And that was great. But the one thing is, one of my business partners, was now my business partner, we decided we'd investigate areas of raising funds, raising money, raising capital to do all of the various things we wanted to do. And we thought we'd look into areas that the beaten path wasn't involved with. You can be involved in the insurance business, but we didn't want to be involved in the automobile insurance, the usual stuff, etc. So we looked at various things, and we found that in the area of tax guarantee, the IRS in the United States will not give you a tax opinion for maybe up to 2 years. Everybody who wants to buy another organization, the shareholders who are selling, obviously want to know what's going to happen to them as far as tax opinion. We had a lawyer who worked with us. His name was Tom Gallagher, who was Yale and Yale Law School and became something like assistant deputy undersecretary of the Treasury and wrote a lot of the tax code. So we worked with him, and then we developed a product called Tax Opinion Guarantee, which turned out to be fantastic. We also turned, for instance, more recently to Ireland. There's an organization called NAMA in Ireland, huge organization, wants to sell off all the properties here that they want. But the biggest single issue they have is there is a law in Ireland that states that the receiver of any property, in selling it on to another, is personally responsible for any erosion of the value of that property. So you've got a fantastic big deal, and people want to sell it on to somebody else who's very interested in buying it, and then relieving the state of this. But the receiver says, oh no, I'm not too sure I can, et cetera, et cetera. I don't want to be held responsible for that. So we developed a product to guarantee the sale of these areas that we would pick up. We would do due diligence on the deal, and then we would take a look and say, so we've done over 50% of all the deals out of NAMA, which is pretty good. I want to say one other thing about the image of Ireland among key audiences in the United States. I know there's still a lot of anger and resentment in Ireland about the government's bailout of the Irish banks, and especially the bondholders in the Irish banks, when the crisis hit here 5 years ago. There was also a good deal of controversy, I should say, in the United States about the U.S. government bailing out its banks, its Wall Street firms, but back in 2007 and 2008, well, the jury is no longer out on this matter. Here is the bottom line. The bailout ended up making money for the U.S. taxpayer. I say that on an overall basis, although obviously there were some shareholders who were hurt here and there, especially in a firm like AIG. All these bailout funds have been repaid and then some. The net result of Ireland's bank bailout is still being worked on. But I predict that when all the numbers are in, Ireland's taxpayers will have reaped a financial net gain from the government's investment to save the Irish banking system from collapse. Of course, I'm not saying it was a good idea to have it happen. It wasn't. Of course, why it happened and how it might have been prevented from happening in the first place is another topic altogether for many, many discussions down the road. However, there's a very positive view in America about the investment community, that Ireland honors its commitments, that Ireland's word is its bond, that Irish economic policy and economic management is soundly based, and they do not change with the shifting political winds. This is a good thing. It has been a good result for Ireland. Ireland's government borrowing costs are now lower than England's. I want to thank you for this evening for your kind attention. It's been my honor and distinct privilege to share these thoughts with you, and thank you very much.
Minister, council members and guests, thank you so much for inviting the Academy to perform for you tonight. Our students will shortly play for you 4 short pieces by Bach, Handel, Vivaldi, and finally an Irish traditional piece.
It's a great banner to have, and it's a very important link between our two countries, between obviously the United States and Ireland. And I just want to say that acknowledging obviously everybody here, particularly this is a business and a commercial venture. It's people who work in every day in bringing wealth to this country, creating employment. And I think that's very, very important, and that's why we're here, and the government very much acknowledges that and very much respect the work that you're doing. Looking at my own family, right, my own brother, Neil O'Dowd's in America, he has the Irish Central website. My sister is over there, she's married to Kieran Staunton, he's very much an activist in issues in relation to immigration and the Irish illegal immigrants there. And if I go back further, I can go back, I'm sure many people can here, everybody who's Irish American here can go back to the 1901 census, and you can see where your family was then. And I look at my family and I see that my great-grandfather, who was 70 at that stage, he couldn't read nor write, but he could speak Irish, he couldn't speak any English. And you look at the list of his children, and you find that a lot of them actually went to the United States of America. We're very proud as an Irish government that that day is over now, and we're moving into recovery. That in the last 12 months, there are 61,000 more people working this day than there were this day last year. That our unemployment figures, which were 15% at the height of the recession, are now down at 11.8%. And has been said already, our bonds, and there's a lot of financial people here, which were theoretically as high as 16%. Our 10-year bond rate was down somewhere around 2.7% very, very recently. So the economy is recovering. People are getting back to work. Obviously, our people have suffered greatly in that time, and we know that. But the recovery is on its way, and it'll only happen by what's happening now, by jobs being created. When we came into office some years ago, we were losing something like over 7,000 jobs per month. That's what the figure was. Over 280,000 people lost their jobs, and now we are luckily creating almost 5,000 jobs per month. And a lot of that has to do, as I said earlier, with American investment. We are the base for companies to set up in Europe, that we do speak English, that we are part of the euro, that we have a young, dedicated workforce who are very flexible. And as mentioned already, our corporate tax rate will not be changing from the 12.5%. Our capacity to improve our telecommunications, that we're the country where if you want to follow the sun, if you want to invest, if you want to be able to communicate in the same day with the Middle East, with Europe, with the Far East, with New York. You can do it here in this country. Geographically, we're in the right place for that. So really, I just want to say that things are really looking up. And I finally just want to say that it wouldn't happen without the commitment of all of you, without the interest, and it's way above and beyond party politics, the relationship between the Irish and the Americans, and it goes from strength to strength, and it can only continue. So I'll just leave it like that. It's a great pleasure, a great honour to be here, and I wish you all a very successful evening, and thank you for listening to me.
We in Aer Lingus are delighted to participate with the Ireland-US Council, both here in Ireland and at events in the United States, in lending sponsorship support to the programme and activities of the Council. We value the opportunity to build the Aer Lingus brand, and the Council presents a unique platform on which to showcase the excellence of the travel products we offer. This year has seen a significant expansion of our long-haul offering, which has increased by 24% following the addition of 13% additional capacity, which was introduced in 2013. The 2014 growth plan included the launch in April of Dublin-San Francisco service, as well as Dublin-Toronto, and almost doubling of frequency from Shannon to Boston and New York, providing year-round connections. The addition of 3 Boeing 757 aircraft to our long-haul fleet has facilitated in part this growth. The San Francisco route will further strengthen Ireland's bonds with the US West Coast and will assist Ireland's development as a technology hub for Europe. It is a particular pleasure this evening to introduce this year's Ireland-US Council Award for Outstanding Portraiture. This award is presented in conjunction with the Irish Arts Review and the Royal Hibernian Academy. It is sponsored by Council member firm Prudential Financial. It is presented in Ireland to an artist whose work is judged to be of outstanding merit. The award is an important part of the Council's programme to support the arts and arts education in Ireland. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now make the presentation to Oisin Roche. I would ask Caroline Faulkner from Prudential Financial to present the award, assisted by Sonia Perkins of the Irish Arts Review and Dr. Michael Summers. And please welcome the winning artist, Oisin Roche.